here to briefly talk to you about why I think we need to look at how we solve poverty differently in India. And make no mistake about this, we are losing the battle against poverty. There are more people who live in poverty today than there were yesterday. About 70% of our country lives below the poverty line. Recently, in an Economic Times review, I read that if you took the whole of Africa that lives in poverty, it wouldn't even fill 2 of our 29 states in India of the equivalent poverty line. Not even 2 out of 29 states. But fantastically, and I say this with my very English sarcastic voice, fantastically, the Indian government 2 years ago decided unilaterally that it would change the global poverty line. So everyone who lives in India in poverty doesn't live below $1.25. They live on $0.45, which means that we don't have 800 million people living in poverty. We only have 300 million people living in poverty. Brilliant, amazing. Absolutely amazing. But actually, it doesn't mean that there's not a lot of work that's being done. The government of India have got fantastic laws. We've got SSA laws to keep young children in school. We've got fantastic work being done now in livelihood. We've got tremendous resources going on with the non-profit space. It's amazing. There are 3.5 million non-profits in India. Last year, every day, 700 charities were formed in India, every day. But don't clap, it's not a good thing. We're losing the battle. But this is why it's so important now to have this discussion, because there's an event happening that's going to change the way that you, everyone in this room, will view the nation. It's going to challenge some of the fundamentals that you have worked for and will work so hard for. Its challenge is that it impacts and affects a part of the population that we don't seem to reach. It's incredible. It's a conversation that I don't think we have very often because we can't understand the enormity of what is about to happen. And it's the tidal wave of young people who live in poverty, who are growing up with the same economic and social entitlement as you and I. That was my cue for the video. In the next 10 years, the population of India is going to reach 1.4 billion people. Already, 50% of the population is below the age of 40. At the current trajectory, there's going to be, in the next 15 years, 423 million Indians who are under and unemployed. They're going to be less trained, they're going to be less healthy, they're going to be highly marginalized, and they certainly will not be part of the Indian dream. They're going to be angry, and they're going to be frustrated. No nation can withhold the anger of 423 million people without there being social unrest. And remember, it is not inevitable that these people will move from poverty. So what are these fundamentals? The government told us in 2007 that 98% of children were just 2 kilometers from school. We have fantastic laws, the SSA, which keep kids in school by law till the age of 14. But last year, 57% of Indians didn't reach 8th standard. 90% didn't finish school at all. Every study in the world will tell us the correlation between lack of education and the increase in crime and lack of economic sustainability. Just 1 extra year in school means 20% extra in your salary. We're meant to have laws which protect us from violence. Last year, 2007 in India, 53% of all children in India were sexually abused. 70% were physically abused. In Delhi alone, over the last 3 years, sexual crime has increased by 25%, child abduction by 400%. Unfortunately, there's a strong correlation between the perpetrators, the victims becoming the perpetrators. And with this crime of violence, no law is going to protect your sons and daughters from what's about to happen. We're meant to have laws which protect our girls. Last year in India, 47% of all unions were child marriages. Only 1% of girls get into 12th standard, and 50% of our girls have anemia. If you take anemia, it's an insidious disease which has hit this country. We are creating a generation of girls that will create babies which are less intelligent and smaller than the last generation. To solve this problem, it's easy. It's a B12 and an iron tablet. And there's no way that in India we cannot afford to give our girls this basic ingredient. It's going to cost the nation billions of dollars if we don't. In infrastructure, as I said, we're building lots of stuff. The last 2 years, 2,500 vocation training centers were built. It's free for many young people to go to these, but only 2% enroll. Last year, 12 million people were looking for work. 60% didn't have the right skills to get a job. Over the next 10 years, we need to create 240 million new jobs. So how do we solve all of this? This is not me, this is the experts telling us what we need to, and we know how to solve poverty. And you need 4 things to happen. 4 things happen concurrently. And they are empowerment. Empowerment in education, in health, and in gender. You need there to be fair political systems. You need to take the caste system in India absolutely head on. And of course, at the end of this journey, you always need jobs, access to financial markets. The 4th is about the soft side. It's about employability skills. It's about work ethic, crucial skills that are going to enable young India to not live in poverty. And I'm sure you agree that fundamentally, in every slum, every village, infrastructure and laws need to exist. So the first thing we do at Magic Bus is partner with thousands of non-profits and rebroker the entry of these vital services back into these communities, whether it be hospitals, vocation training centers, schools. We don't want to recreate what the 3.5 million charities already do. But herein lies the difficulty, because once we bring all this infrastructure in, we're creating a generation of young people who have aspirations that are way off point. 900 million mobile phones, 300 million televisions, the internet is creating a generation of young people with incredible expectations and aspirations. We know that because we ask 8,000 every 6 months what they think about India. And this is a snapshot of what they say.
मेरा नाम एहसान है।
मेरा नाम अंकिता है।
योगेश।
I am Stuti.
मेरा नाम संतोष है।
I want to be a teacher.
मुझे चित्रकार बनना है।
मुझे कामयाब होना है।
मैं डांसर बनना चाहती हूँ।
I want to become a banker.
साइंटिस्ट।
मुझे इंजीनियर बनना है।
I want to be an actor.
I want peace.
अकाउंटेंट,
Doctor.
नर्स, प्रोफेसर,
इंश्योरेंस एजेंट,
सोशल वर्कर,
पायलट,
ट्रेनर,
आईपीएस ऑफिसर,
डेंटिस्ट, रिपोर्टर,
पुलिस ऑफिसर,
एयर होस्टेस,
क्रिकेटर,
साइंटिस्ट।
कामयाब होना, इंजीनियर,
Doctor.
These children live on the streets, in the slums, in the villages of India. But I'm sure you recognize every single one of those dreams and aspirations. They're exactly the same as yours, your parents, your friends. To understand this is fundamental to understand why we exist, because it's not just about putting infrastructure and laws into a community. It's understanding how young people can engage with those things, and create realistic opportunities and realistic expectations and appropriate opportunities. And for us, that manifests in further education and in vocation and in jobs. We then deploy our award-winning curricula, which provides young people with the frameworks to get better choices and to value themselves and their community more. Then we're challenged with, okay, we've sorted all this out, but then how do we reach millions of young people in India? How do we change their behavior? And we quickly realized that the best teachers, or what we call mentors, are young people that actually live in that community. When we train them in behavioral change and in the 4 poverty-kill areas, they become the best role models, the heroes of that community. So we did just that. We took 8,000 young people and we trained them all in the 4 vital poverty-kill areas. Every single week, these 8,000 community leaders go out and deliver to 300,000 children across India, and they take them on this amazing journey from childhood all the way through to livelihood. Amongst many things, we use activities as a metaphor in these 4 poverty-kill areas. We change the behavior of a young person and their family by using the activity as a lesson, and then sitting under a tree afterwards and drawing out the learning from that activity. Whether that's about going back to school, whether that's about child marriage, we have curricula for all these behavioral changes. Crucially, the child decides that he wants to go to school. She knows that getting a job is the end game. They change their behavior, and it works. 43% of all our children are girls. 81% of all 21-year-olds at Lyft haven't got married at Magic Bus. 98% of all our adolescent girls are in secondary school. 70% of all out-of-school children re-enroll back into school. 89% finish 10th standard. 93% of those 8,000 youth leaders go on to further education. They're doing degrees. 78% have displayed better habits in hygiene and cleanliness. We're taking on some of these serious diseases down in the village level. And employability, as I said, 93% in further education. Incredible 26% of all our youth now go into vocation training as against the 2% national average. Crucially, we do all this for just 1,200 rupees, $20 a year. It's so important to understand how you can both create impact but also create it at an affordable price. We've got to get to 800 million people. So despite all the great stories you're going to hear about India over the next couple of years, there is no inevitability about these young people moving out of poverty. In fact, there are 60 million more people living in poverty today than there were 20 years ago. It's vital that we give these young people these behavioral change frameworks and support them so they can be part of course, this wonderful, successful India. Crucially, we need to rebalance. We need to stop just investing in hardware. We need to invest in software. We need to invest in the behavior of the children we want to see. I think by doing that, we'll create a generation of young people who don't just take part, but are also shaping this fantastic country. Thank you very much.